The silence of space broke with a voice that did not belong to Earth. It was deep, metallic, and filled with arrogance. The Galactic High Council had spoken. The message was not private. It echoed across every channel, every frequency, every planet and moon that could catch a signal. Billions of humans heard the same words at once, and fear struck their hearts. "People of Earth," the voice said, slow and cold, "you stand at the edge of history. The galaxy has judged you. You will kneel, or you will burn." The words were simple, but behind them stood power. At the edge of the solar system they appeared, a fleet larger than anything Earth had ever seen. Warships shaped like knives of black steel stretching for miles, cruisers bristling with cannons that glowed red, carriers with hangars that could hold entire cities. They filled the darkness around Saturn and its rings, their shadows falling across the planets like a storm that could not be stopped. For Earth, the sight was crushing. On news screens, families saw the live feeds. Children clung to their parents. Soldiers in bunkers stared at the monitors with clenched fists. Leaders sat in silent rooms, pale faces lit by the glow of the alien armada. It was not a fair fight. Humanity had fleets, yes. Earth had built ships to defend itself, but compared to what now floated in orbit of Saturn, they were insects before a wildfire. The galaxy had come not to fight, but to collect obedience. The ultimatum repeated as if to remind them of their weakness. You will surrender your fleets. You will surrender your weapons. You will surrender your freedom. Refuse, and Earth will cease to exist. Each word was followed by silence so deep that even the hum of machines felt heavy. Across Earth, people waited for their leaders to speak. The president stood in a room with advisors, generals, and scientists. He said nothing. His hands were locked behind his back, his jaw tight. The generals argued. Some demanded to surrender to save lives. Others shouted that surrender would mean slavery for generations. The scientists whispered of weapons never tested, technologies built in secret, but no one knew if they would be enough. Outside, the people waited. The galaxy waited. The aliens watched. Hours passed. The alien fleet did not move, but their presence was louder than thunder. They were certain humans would break. Every other species had bent the knee when the council came. Humanity would be no different. But then, something unexpected happened. A single human ship moved. It was small compared to the alien giants, no longer than a city block. It rose from Earth's orbit, engines glowing bright, and pointed itself toward the darkness where the invaders waited. The aliens noticed. Sensors locked on it, weapons aimed, but the ship did not fire. Instead, it sent a signal. One voice carried across the stars, strong and calm. "This is Earth. We have heard your demand. Now hear our answer." The galaxy froze. Billions held their breath. The voice belonged to Admiral Marcus Kane, commander of Earth's defense fleet. He was not a man who spoke often, but when he did, his words were remembered. His hair was gray, his face scarred by battles of the past, and his eyes were cold with a determination that no alien could measure. "You came to us with threats," he said. "You believe Earth will kneel because others did. You think we are afraid of your size, your numbers, your power, but you have made a mistake." The alien fleet shifted, their cannons warming with energy. The council's envoy answered with laughter, a cruel echo that filled the channels. "Do you mean to fight us, human? Your fleet is dust compared to ours. Your planet is fragile. Your people are weak. Do you wish to see them burned before you speak bravely again?" Kane did not flinch. His voice stayed calm, almost quiet. "Every empire that came before you thought the same," he said, "that we were too small, that we were too fragile. But Earth does not kneel. Not to tyrants, not to councils, not to anyone." The words spread like fire. Across Earth, people listened in stunned silence. Some felt their fear lift, replaced by pride. Others whispered that the Admiral had signed their death sentence. The alien envoy hissed, his voice sharper now. "Careful, human. Words will not save you." Kane leaned closer to the microphone. His final words were not shouted, but delivered in a low, steady tone that chilled even his own crew. "We do not seek war. But if you want Earth's surrender, you will have to take it from our dead hands. And if you fire on us, know this. Our answer will not end with words." The channel cut. Silence fell. In the void around Saturn, the alien fleet adjusted formation, cannons glowing brighter. On Earth, families clutched each other, waiting for the first strike. Soldiers loaded weapons. Scientists checked the hidden systems that had never been revealed. The galaxy leaned forward, waiting. For the first time, the Council hesitated. Humanity had answered. And that answer was the beginning of something the galaxy had never expected. The galaxy had expected silence after the ultimatum, or perhaps a desperate plea for mercy. What it did not expect was Earth's refusal. For hours after Admiral Kane's words, the alien fleet remained still. Their warships hung in the darkness like a storm waiting to fall. Thousands of weapons glowed red, ready to fire, but no shot came. On Earth, people lived those hours as if the world balanced on a knife. Cities stayed awake through the night, screens shining in every home. Children whispered questions no parent could answer. Would the sky burn tomorrow? Would Earth even exist at sunrise? But hidden under the fear, something else began to grow. Whispers. Quiet at first, then louder. They did not kneel. The Admiral spoke for us all. We will fight. In the bunkers under the Rocky Mountains, Earth's defense leaders gathered again. Maps of the solar system glowed on walls, dotted with red where alien ships hovered. Lines marked human fleets, few, small, fragile compared to the giants. General Aisha Rahman stood, her uniform neat even in crisis. She pointed at the map. They think we are weak. That is our weapon. Let them believe it until the last second. A scientist across the table, Dr. Helena Voss, nodded. Her eyes burned with intensity. She had worked for decades in secret labs beneath deserts and oceans. They do not know what we have. They have never seen the weapons we built. But we must use them carefully or all will be lost. The president, pale and silent since the ultimatum, finally spoke. If we fight, we risk extinction. If we kneel, we live as slaves. I will not let Earth be chained. The room was quiet after his words. The decision was made. Meanwhile, in the shadows of space, Earth's fleets moved. Not in great waves like the alien armadas, but in silence like hunters in the dark. Small ships slipped into asteroid belts. Submariner-class vessels designed to hide even in the void drifted near Saturn's rings. Drones with no pilot scattered themselves between moons, vanishing into craters and dust clouds. Every movement was invisible to the Council's sensors, or so humanity hoped. The alien commanders, watching from their massive flagships, grew restless. They had crushed hundreds of worlds before. None had resisted this long. None had dared answer the Council with defiance. They delay, one commander hissed, his voice like rusted metal. They plan something. They are humans, another said with contempt. Primitive. They still burn fuel to light their skies. They will break when the fire falls. But in truth, doubt had begun to creep into their minds. It was not Earth's ships that worried them. It was the tone of that voice, calm, certain, unafraid. Across the galaxy, millions of species watched in silence. Broadcasts carried the images of the alien fleet and the lone human defiance to every world. On distant planets, slaves of the Council whispered to one another. If Earth could resist, maybe others could too. Back on Earth, whispers turned into resolve. Soldiers in bases spoke proudly of Kane's words. Farmers left their fields to volunteer for supply work. Engineers worked without sleep, repairing ships, building weapons, readying defenses. One teenager in a crowded city whispered to her mother as they watched the night sky. If the stars fall on us, we will still stand. The mother held her close. Fear and pride mixed in her eyes. Humanity was afraid, but it was also alive in a way the Council had not expected. And then came the first test. A small alien scout ship broke formation. It drifted toward Earth's orbit, sensors glowing like eyes searching for prey. Its purpose was simple. Measure human defenses, record their weakness, send data back to the fleet, but the scout never returned. From the shadow of the moon, a human ship moved, a stealth corvette, invisible until it fired. One burst of light, sharp and clean, cut through the alien craft. The scout split into fragments, burning briefly before vanishing into silence. The galaxy saw it. The Council saw it. Earth had drawn first blood. The alien fleet roared to life. Cannons hummed, shields flared, formations shifted. Yet still they did not attack. Something in that single strike had unsettled them. In the command deck of Earth's flagship, Admiral Kane stood watching the fragments scatter in the void. He did not smile, but his crew felt his resolve. This is only the beginning, he said. They will come harder now, and when they do, they will discover what Earth truly is. Dr. Voss appeared beside him, voice quiet but urgent. The systems are ready, but once we use them, there is no turning back. The galaxy will know what we are capable of. Kane looked out at the endless black where the alien fleet waited. His jaw tightened. Then let them know. Let every star hear the truth. Earth will never kneel. And so the whispers of defiance became a storm. On Earth, people lifted their heads. In bunkers and in cities, in deserts and on islands, they whispered the same words, over and over like a chant against the dark. We will not kneel. We will not kneel. The galaxy had come to see fear. Instead, it saw fire. And as the alien fleet prepared for its first great strike, humanity stood ready, not as slaves, not as victims, but as something far more dangerous. The storm was about to break. The alien fleet did not wait forever. Their patience snapped when the scout ship vanished in a burst of human fire. To the Council, it was an insult too large to ignore. On the bridge of the alien flagship, 1,000 eyes glowed in the dark as the High Commander stood tall. His voice rumbled like thunder across the channels. Enough. Burn their skies. Show them what it means to defy the Council. The order echoed through the fleet. Engines roared to life. Cannons lit up like crimson suns. In the silence of space, thousands of alien warships began to move forward. On Earth, alarms screamed through cities and bases. Screens showed the swarm of enemy ships cutting across the solar system like blades. Humanity had never seen so many weapons pointed at them. Some froze in terror. Others clenched their fists. The time of whispers was over. Admiral Kane stood on the command deck of Earth's flagship, his face unreadable. He did not raise his voice, but his words carried sharp and steady through the crew. They are coming. Hold your lines. Trust your training. Trust your ships. Today the galaxy learns what it means to challenge humanity. The first wave of alien fire cut through the void. Great beams of light, powerful enough to shatter moons, streaked toward Earth's fleet. But the humans did not answer with equal fire. Instead, their ships moved. Small, fast, weaving between the beams like dancers in the dark. The alien commanders frowned. They had expected humans to stand and be crushed. Instead, they scattered, drawing the enemy into pursuit. Then the traps were sprung. From behind asteroids, hidden human drones awoke. From the shadows of moons, stealth corvettes fired. Explosions rippled through the alien front line as ships fell apart, their armor torn by weapons they had never faced. The galaxy watched in shock. The mighty fleet of the Council, armadas that had crushed dozens of worlds, was bleeding from the first strike of Earth. But the aliens were many. For every ship destroyed, 10 more surged forward. Their cannons lit up again, and this time their fire struck true. A human destroyer vanished in a bloom of flame. Another ship broke apart, scattering wreckage across space. The crew of Earth's flagship felt the deck shake as a glancing hit grazed their shields. Panic flickered in their eyes, but Kane's calm voice steadied them. Do not fear the size of the wave. Remember the rock that breaks it. Remember who we are. The second clash was fiercer. Human fighters darted in swarms, slipping under the shields of larger alien cruisers and striking their weak points. Alien ships burst apart like glass hit by hammers. But every victory cost lives. Pilots screamed over comms before their signals went silent. On the surface of Earth, millions watched the battle unfold in real time. Families held each other close, whispering prayers, their eyes fixed on the streaks of light across the void. Every explosion meant lives lost, yet every alien wreck that fell gave them hope. In the Council's fleet, unease spread. Their commanders had expected a quick victory. Instead, they saw chaos. Their largest warships, ships meant to inspire fear, were struggling to catch tiny human vessels that moved with impossible speed and precision. They fight like no one we have faced, one alien captain muttered. They fight as if every breath is their last, another replied. Still, the Council pressed forward. They could not retreat, not now, not after demanding surrender. To retreat was to admit weakness, and the galaxy would not forgive that. On the bridge of Earth's flagship, Dr. Voss leaned toward Admiral Kane, her hands trembling slightly. We cannot hold forever. We must reveal it. Kane's eyes flickered toward her, then back to the stars. Not yet. Let them believe they are winning. Let them come closer. And closer they came. Alien warships surged deeper into the solar system, their cannons tearing apart anything in their path. Human ships fell back, their losses heavy. To an outsider, it seemed Earth's defense was breaking. But behind the retreat was calculation. Behind the chaos was strategy. In the silence of a hidden chamber deep under the Atlantic Ocean, systems long kept secret began to wake. Great machines hummed to life. Energy surged through lines that stretched beneath the oceans, into satellites, into ships. Humanity's true answer was not yet spoken. Back in orbit, another wave of alien fire struck. A human cruiser exploded, its fragments scattering across the void. Crews on other ships watched the wreckage drift past their windows. For a moment, despair flickered, and then Admiral Kane's voice cut through, calm and cold. Do not think of the dead as lost. Think of them as a shield. Every second they buy us is a second closer to victory. The crew straightened. Fear gave way to fire again. The galaxy watched in silence as the first great battle between Earth and the Council raged. Ships burned, lives were lost, and the void between Saturn and Earth became a graveyard of metal. But still, Earth stood, and the aliens, for the first time in their long rule, began to wonder if they had made a mistake they could never undo. The first clash had left the void filled with wreckage. Human ships burned, alien warships shattered, yet the battle was far from over. The Council's commanders believed they still held the advantage. Their fleets outnumbered Earth's 100 to 1. Their cannons could pierce cities in a single shot, and yet unease crept into their minds. For every strike that landed, humans answered with something unexpected. Inside the flagship of the High Commander, the alien officers gathered around a holomap. The glowing image showed Earth's fleet falling back, ship by ship, closer to the homeworld. To the untrained eye, it looked like retreat, see? One officer hissed. They are breaking. Their defenses crumble. Soon their fleet will scatter like sand. But the High Commander's eyes narrowed. He had fought many wars. Something about the humans' movements felt wrong. Too precise, too patient. It was not panic. It was calculation. On Earth's flagship, Admiral Kane stood with his crew. Their shields flickered, their hull groaned under each impact, but the Admiral remained steady. His voice cut through the fear. Hold formation. Let them think we run. Let them think we are cornered. Dr. Voss stepped forward, her face pale but her eyes hard with fire. The systems are ready. If we wait too long, we risk losing everything. Kane nodded slowly. We wait until they are close enough. Then we speak. The galaxy held its breath as the alien fleet surged deeper into the solar system. Moons shook with the passing of ships. Saturn's rings split apart as engines tore through them. Asteroids burned in the wake of their thrusters. The invaders came with unstoppable weight, pushing Earth toward the final blow. And then it happened. A signal cut through every frequency, louder than the cannons, sharper than any blade. It was human, calm, defiant, carried not just to the aliens but to every corner of the galaxy. This is Earth, Admiral Kane's voice declared. You gave us an ultimatum. You told us to kneel. Here is our answer. The alien fleets paused, sensors focusing, weapons aimed. On worlds across the stars, species enslaved by the Council leaned closer to their screens, desperate to hear. Kane continued, his voice steady, each word like iron. We are human. We are not the strongest. We are not the oldest. But we are the one thing you never understood. We are the species that does not stop. You burned others and they bowed. But Earth will not kneel. Not today. Not ever. And then Earth's true answer came, not in words, but in fire. From the oceans, from the deserts, from mountains carved hollow, humanity unleashed what it had kept hidden for decades. Great platforms rose from beneath the waves, massive cannons glowing with unnatural light, satellites long thought to be silent suddenly ignited, their cores pulsing with energy stolen from stars. Deep in orbit, ships once disguised as cargo vessels revealed hidden weapons, devices that bent light, tore signals, and shattered shields. The galaxy had never seen weapons like these. The first strike ripped across the void. Alien warships, shielded by technology that had stood for centuries, fell silent in an instant as human beams cut through them like glass. The second strike came from the Earth itself. Energy surged from hidden towers, traveling through satellites, bouncing across space, striking targets with impossible accuracy. Alien cruisers spun out of control, their cores burning. The third strike was the most terrifying. Human ships, small and fragile, charged forward. They did not match fire with fire. Instead, they hacked the alien systems, breaking through their networks, turning weapons against their own fleets. On screens across the galaxy, viewers watched in awe as alien battleships began to destroy each other, confused and helpless. The council screamed in fury. Commands were shouted, countermeasures launched, but it was too late. The trap was sprung. The retreat of Earth's fleet had been nothing more than bait, pulling the aliens into range of weapons they had never imagined. On Earth, people erupted in cries of triumph. From cities to villages, the night sky lit up with cheers. Children who had feared the morning now shouted Cain's words. "We will not kneel." But Cain did not smile. His eyes were fixed on the battlefield where ships burned and lives ended in silence. "Remember," he told his crew, "every victory is written in blood. We fight not to destroy but to survive. Never forget what this means." On the alien flagship, the High Commander's eyes burned with rage. His fleet was breaking. His ships fell one after another. The human answer had not just ended the discussion, it had begun a war the Council had never wanted to face. And across the galaxy, the message spread like wildfire. A species no one had respected. A world thought fragile. A people the Council had believed could be broken in a single strike. Had stood, had fought, had answered with fire and defiance. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy trembled, and in the silence that followed the destruction, one truth was clear. Earth's answer was not just for the Council. It was for every world that had ever been forced to kneel. The void between Saturn and Earth was no longer dark. It burned with wreckage, fire, and silence. Alien ships that had once stretched across the solar system now floated broken, their carcasses drifting without control. Human vessels, though scarred and battered, still moved with precision. The battle was not just won, it was ended. On the alien flagship, silence filled the command deck. The High Commander stared at the battlefield, his clawed hands gripping the edges of the holotable. He had never seen defeat like this. His fleets had crushed empires, bent kings to their knees, and silenced rebellions in a single strike. Yet here, against Earth, his power had shattered. "Retreat," he finally said, his voice hollow. The order rippled through the armada. Engines fired, weapons dimmed, and one by one the once mighty warships began to fall back. The invasion that was supposed to make Earth an example now ended in humiliation. Across the galaxy, the live feeds carried the images. Billions of eyes watched as the Council's armada, symbols of fear for centuries, turned away from a single planet. And everywhere, whispers began. They stood. They fought. Earth did not kneel. On Earth's flagship, Admiral Cain watched the alien retreat with a face of stone. His crew cheered, voices rising, tears falling, but he did not join them. Instead, he turned to Dr. Voss. "They will return," he said quietly. She nodded. "Yes, but they will never look at us the same again." Cain finally allowed himself a breath. "Then our message is delivered." Back on Earth, cities erupted in celebration. Crowds filled the streets, waving flags, shouting the words Cain had spoken. "We will not kneel." Families who had hidden in fear now lit candles in their windows. Soldiers saluted the skies. Children pointed at the stars with pride instead of terror. But amid the cheers there was grief. Entire crews had been lost. Ships that had left Earth with brave hearts would never return. The oceans received their names in solemn memorials. Humanity had survived, but survival always came at a cost. Still, the message was louder than the grief. Earth had answered, and the galaxy had listened. On distant worlds enslaved by the Council, the news spread like fire through hidden networks. In mines, slaves whispered the story. In shadowed cities, rebels painted Cain's words on walls. Earth did not kneel. The phrase became more than defiance. It became hope. The Council knew it. Fear spread through their ranks faster than any human weapon could travel. Other species, long crushed into silence, might now dare to resist. If Earth could stand, perhaps others could too. In the chamber of the High Council itself, silence ruled. Leaders who had once spoken with arrogance now avoided each other's eyes. They could not erase what had been broadcast across the stars. They could not undo the retreat of their fleet. For the first time in centuries, the Council feared. And Earth had gained something no weapon could buy. Respect. Admiral Cain stood before his people days after the battle. His speech was short, carried through every channel, every screen, every device. His voice was calm, steady, the same voice that had refused to kneel. Humanity has faced many trials. We have fought wars on our own soil, and now we have fought wars among the stars. The galaxy demanded our surrender, and we gave them our answer. Remember this day. Remember not just for the victory, but for the truth it proves. We are not weak. We are not broken. We are human, and we will stand as long as we breathe. His words carried far beyond Earth. They were replayed on alien worlds, whispered in council halls, studied by commanders who could not understand how one small world had stood against so many. The stars, once filled with voices of command and arrogance, now fell silent, and in that silence, Earth prepared, for humanity knew the battle was not the end. It was only the beginning. The galaxy now feared them, yes, but fear was a dangerous thing. Fear could bring hesitation, but it could also bring vengeance. Still, for this moment, Earth stood proud. Children went to bed not with fear of fire, but with dreams of stars. Soldiers stood watch with pride instead of despair. Families spoke of tomorrow with hope instead of silence. And as the night spread across Earth, the people repeated the words that had carried them through fire and death. We will not kneel. The galaxy would never forget, and neither would humanity.